Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of Right Think. And I have with me a guest from Crowborough, who is Nick Jones. He's a Heritage Party member, but he's a member of the community in Crowborough, which is one of the places that the government has announced that they are going to open processing centres or accommodation in military barracks for asylum seekers. Some of them may be genuine, some of them may be bogus. We don't know, but most of them are militay-aged men, and Crowborough has been earmarked to take 600 asylum seekers in an army training camp, which is on the outskirts of Crowborough town. So, Nick, without further ado, welcome to the show. It's good to have you with me. And you were at a meeting last night, I believe, about this whole situation.
Yes, they called a public meeting up at the Civic Hall, which was massively oversubscribed. They had a limit of 280 people in the building. So the meeting was supposed to be from 6 o'clock till 8, but in the end they had to split it into 2 meetings to repeat the meeting so that more people could come in. And even then, there was people outside who couldn't get in. So they've now apparently going to look for a bigger venue so more people can attend the meeting.
That's almost unheard of. That you're saying you got 700-800 people
at least
from Crowborough,
yeah,
who are really concerned about
up in arms. People are fearful for their children, and especially in light of the recent events in Epping. We've seen what's going on around the country in these hotels and places where these illegal migrants are being put in. The crime rates are soaring through the roof. There's sexual assaults. All sorts of things. It's quite a frightening prospect. I mean, we had, some people calling the government treasonous last night. Some people calling for non-payment of council tax until this is sorted out. But, doing it legally, sort of putting the money aside, but not giving it to the government until this is sorted out. And I think that's a bloody good idea, personally.
That's one way of resisting, absolutely.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
If you look at the mainstream media reports on this, because this was only announced 2 or 3 days ago, they are sort of indicating there's a mixed response, there's a mixed feeling in Crowborough about this. Some people are against it, some people are for it. Is that true from what you see, or is that rubbish?
That is utter fabrication. It seems to be 99.999% of Crowborough is against this. There was 1 or 2 dissenting voices out of a whole of 280 last night. And even then, they didn't have anything to say, really. They were just saying, perhaps we should be putting the other side, one lady said. And people said, well, put your hand up and you can say it, what you want to say. Yeah. But on the whole, people are just, they're just very, worried about their kids. People talking about organising security teams to stand out schools to protect their children. And it's ridiculous. I mean, Crowborough is known as a very safe rural town. We shouldn't have to be doing this kind of thing.
Yes. Now I got a picture of the site there. This is the army barracks, which is on the southwest edge of the town, I believe. Yeah. Is this actually a working training centre at the moment, or is it abandoned?
It's mainly used by reservists and cadets, which obviously has been. I think the Gurkhas have done some training. I personally, actually, 40 years ago, did when I was in the Territorial Army. I used to be in 10 para, and I did my P company at Crowborough. That was before I lived in Crowborough, which is coincidental. I ended up living here, but. Yes, it is still in use, but mainly for reservists and cadets, right, as far as I'm aware.
So I'm just thinking that if they take over this centre, then the people who do come and train there, they will have to go somewhere else, which is really messing up the sort of, the operations of the military in this country, which can't be good for national security either.
We had a young lad there who was a cadet. And he was asking the question, and they said, well, it'll get cancelled. So these things are all these amenities for children are being cancelled in place of this.
So it's not only going to potentially cause security issues, crime issues is also going to be less for young people to do. And we really need to create a country where young people have got training opportunities and social opportunities, and it's going to have a detrimental effect on young people in the town as well. Is that what you think?
Yeah.
Mm. It's the whole thing sounds dreadful to me. And interestingly, a couple of years ago, not far from Crowborough, there's another town in East Sussex called Battle, and they were going to open an ex-prison there as a migrant centre. This was the North Eye prison. They bought it, but then they abandoned the idea after 15 months or so. Just in December 2024, they announced, well, the minister, Home Office minister, actually said it's no longer needed, and that was for double the number of migrants. That was for 1,200 migrants in Battle. So it seems to be inconsistent. So they don't need this site in Battle, but now they need a site for 600 in Crowborough. I mean, was there any sort of mention of that at the meeting?
Someone mentioned a MOD site in Bexhill that they'd proposed as well, which got cancelled. And people, we want to look into how that got cancelled and why it got cancelled, because obviously it's a route we would follow as well. We want to see what the reasons were given for cancelling it.
Yeah, sorry, I misspoke there. I think that was the site in Bexhill. I said Battle, but that was Bexhill. Yeah, sorry. I should have said that. I'll clarify that. But yeah, that was right. That was cancelled. And now they're proposing the site in Crowborough, and this seems to have just come, just like a bolt from the blue. There was nothing beforehand, and then just suddenly they said they're going to do this. I mean, how did people feel about this? That this is just a sudden announcement, and it's almost like, well, if this is going to happen by the end of November, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, people are in shock. They're absolutely shocked by what's going on. I don't know what else to say. I mean, anyone you speak to on the street is just like, we've got to stop this. This is horrendous.
And how is Crowborough at the moment? Is it a safe, harmonious place to live?
It is, yeah. It's a very low crime rate. It's, it is. I've brought my children up here. I've lived here for 25 years now. And it's been a really wonderful place to bring kids up. But I'm really glad my kids are now grown, because I really wouldn't trust having small children wandering around there, having unknown, unvetted illegal migrants, knowing what's been going on around the country, So, yeah, obviously everyone's afraid of the potential of crime that could be committed.
I think, I imagine the people who would be most afraid would be the people who have daughters, in the town, because of what we've seen happening in many other places around the country. I mean, was there anyone at the meeting last night who was worried about the safety of their daughters?
Exactly. Well, I've actually got a customer. I'm a plumber. I've got a customer who lives next door to the army camp, and his 17-year-old daughter stands at the bus stop outside the army camp every morning, and he's obviously up in arms about it. In fact, we did have Afghan refugees that basically were helping us in Afghanistan were moved into that camp. But there's been, and it was brought up last night, there were a couple of incidents in Crowborough from them in some of the shops. And he actually, I believe, got them moved because he was afraid for his daughter. And he's obviously afraid again now that they've got this new crowd coming in.
Yeah, that was when they had families in there, didn't they? They didn't use it before, but that was for families. Yeah. Now it's going to be. Is it going to be families again, or is it going to be all?
No. This is. It's all going to be all men, and it's between the ages, I think, of 20 and 65. So we're told.
So if you had problems before when there were families, heaven knows what it will be like if you've got all single-aged men, fighting age men in there.
Well, that's a point I brought up last night, and it may be unfounded, but I would like to know, are any of these men going to receive any kind of military training while they're there? I mean, it may be unfounded, I don't know. But we hear this, they're military-aged fighting men. And I'd heard rumours some time ago about the Black Watch training some of these people in Turkey before they came here. So what's that all about? Why are they doing that? This is,
That doesn't make any sense on, for anything that the country needs. But if they're doing that, I don't know. But if this is happening, then it seems like it's some kind of
it's only rumor. I don't know this for a fact, but yeah.
But what isn't rumor?
These questions come up, don't they?
Yeah.
Why would they be doing this? Why put them in a military camp like that? All men. Where are their families, their women and children? Why don't they come here on an EasyJet flight for £38? Why do they pay thousands of pounds to come over on an inflatable dinghy on a dangerous crossing?
You got to ask these questions, and like, are they genuine asylum seekers when they're all men and there's no women and children? Because in normal movements of refugees, you actually have more women and children and men, because the men usually stay behind to fight the battles that they got to fight in their own country. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So, I mean, if this does happen, is there any indication that they will be held on site and they won't be allowed to leave?
We were told last night they will be allowed to wander around the town at free will. So,
so that could totally change the feel and the demographics of the town.
Yeah.
So, well, I totally understand, how you all feel there in Crowborough. And it's not just Crowborough. This is something that's happening in towns and cities and even in villages all around the country. And how much resistance is there? I mean, are you getting, obviously you've got a large proportion and percentage of the town coming out to the meeting, but is there any support from the MP, from the county council?
From what I can tell, we had a reform councillor and an independent councillor there last night, who are as shocked as we are about what's happening. Noose Garney didn't turn up. You would have thought Noose Garney would have come, which is our MP. You would have thought she'd have been there, but no, she wasn't there. She has apparently raised a petition. There are now 3 petitions on the go. So, she seems to be trying to garner some support there. But I think any kind of pressure that we can apply to the government is warranted now. So, it needs to be publicised far and wide. Everybody needs to be written to, our MPs, the councillors, the local council, the district council, the newspapers. Everybody needs to get pressure over this because it's coming to them. It's coming to you. If we don't stop it here, it'll spread elsewhere, or it already has.
Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely agree with you, and obviously I will share this everywhere and publicize this as much as possible, because it's not, solving the problem of migrant hotels. What Keir Starmer is saying is that we're going to move everyone out of hotels, but they're not going to send them back to their own countries where they should be. If they're bogus asylum seekers, they're going to put them in barracks, or they're going to put them in houses of multiple occupancy in residential areas with other people. And this is not going to solve the problem. It's just moving around.
The problem is easily solved. You just remove the incentives from coming here. They're not going to want to come here if they're not getting free handouts, free housing, free food, a free mobile phone and credit cards, whatever else they get. If you remove that, there's no incentive to come here.
That is absolutely true, and a very good point. And it's what most countries in the world do. I mean, if I rocked up in China and said, "Oh, I'm an asylum seeker. Can you give me a free house and 3 meals a day and some spending money?" They would just laugh and send me on the first plane home. It is insane that this country and a few other countries in the West reward people for turning up illegally into our own country. To me, it's just absolutely crazy. And then you and in your local communities and towns and cities pay the price for what's going on here.
Yeah. Well, it's obviously part of a larger agenda that the government are pushing.
It does seem so.
Yeah, it seems quite obvious to me, and anyone who looks into this can see, the Agenda 2030. The rabbit hole's very deep, as you know, David.
Indeed. Well, that's a whole other issue, which I've spoken about at length, and I'm sure you speak about in the local towns and cities as well. People are beginning to understand all of this. But Nick, look, I wish you and the people of Crowborough all the very best in fighting this, and I really hope that you stop the plans to move military-aged men, 600 military-aged men, into this barracks in Crowborough, and that we can actually get some people in power that will solve this issue by stopping the rewards for bogus asylum seekers to come to this country as well. So thank you for joining me, Nick. Any final words you want to say?
Just, I don't know. Wake up, people.
I know.
I mean, you know, look what the government are doing. You know, non-compliance is going to be the only way out of this. You know, we need to stop complying with anything they want us to do. You know, there's a guy's organising a protest to the district council in Hailsham about this at the moment. One guy mentioned last night. I believe someone else. I'm looking on the internet. There's going to be no use of the don't buy anything on the internet day. So don't use Amazon, you know, and so the various protests. But this is a wider. It's not just the immigrant issue. It goes into digital IDs and everything else. You know, the whole agenda.
Yeah, but, there's much more to talk about in the wider issue. But all the best in fighting this, and I hope that Crowborough stays a lovely, peaceful, rural English town that it always has been. Okay. Nick, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for everything you do, David. You know, because you are a beacon of hope for a lot of us.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'll carry on doing what I can, and I know you will as well. Great. Okay, good to talk to you, Nick. Thanks for joining me, and all the very best.